For centuries, tales of Bigfoot have captivated imaginations, with witnesses describing towering, mysterious creatures in remote forests. These dramatized stories reveal chilling encounters, from eerie wood knocks to shadowy figures stalking campsites. Subscribe to explore the mysteries of true encounters on the Trail of Bigfoot. Bigfoot Encounter 1. Bigfoot Encounter in the Sierra Nevada Wilderness. July 18, 1977, by Daniel H. Rowe, Yosemite Sentinel. Family reports terrifying Bigfoot encounter near Yosemite. A local family's summer camping trip in the Sierra Nevada turned into a night of terror, as they claimed to have encountered not one, but two creatures they believed to be Bigfoot. The family reported eerie wood knocks, bone-chilling howls, and a direct sighting of the massive humanoid figures near their campsite. Experts and skeptics alike are intrigued by this harrowing account, which raises questions about what truly lurks in the vast wilderness of Yosemite National Park. In the summer of 1977, the Reynolds family, Father David, Mother Linda, and their two children, 15-year-old Emily and 12-year-old Jack, set out for a week-long camping trip in the Sierra Nevada wilderness near Yosemite National Park. Their goal was to escape the pressures of city life in Sacramento and immerse themselves in nature. David, an avid outdoorsman, had planned the route carefully, selecting a secluded campsite miles away from any established trails. The journey began with a hike through towering pines and rugged terrain. By late afternoon on their second day, the family reached their campsite, a picturesque clearing surrounded by dense forest. They set up their tents, built a fire, and marveled at the breathtaking beauty of the wilderness.
I remember feeling like we were the only people in the world. It was so peaceful.
But that peace would not last. The first strange occurrence happened as the family was settling in for their first evening. While David was gathering firewood near the edge of the clearing, he noticed what he initially thought were deep bear tracks in the soft soil. However, the tracks were unlike anything he'd seen before. Massive, humanoid, and spanning nearly 18 inches in length.
These weren't bear prints. They were shaped like a human foot, only much, much larger.
David brushed off his unease, not wanting to alarm his family. He returned to the campsite and focused on preparing dinner. However, as the sun dipped below the horizon, an eerie sense of being watched began to settle over the group.
It felt like the forest was alive, but not in a good way. It was like something was out there just beyond the firelight.
The first encounter.
That night, as the family sat around the campfire, they heard a loud, rhythmic knocking sound echoing through the trees. The knocks were deliberate and spaced apart, as if someone, or something, was striking a heavy piece of wood against a tree. David told us it was probably just the wind or maybe a deer rubbing its antlers, but it didn't sound like that. It sounded intentional.
The knocking continued for several minutes before abruptly stopping. Moments later, a deep, guttural howl pierced the night air, freezing the family in place. The sound was unlike any animal call they'd ever heard, low, mournful, and unearthly. Jack clung to his mother, his wide eyes reflecting the firelight.
What was that?
It might be a coyote or an owl.
But deep down, he knew this sound didn't match any known wildlife in the region. Sightings in the shadows. Unable to sleep, David decided to keep watch by the fire while his family rested. Around midnight, as the fire began to die down, he noticed movement in the trees at the edge of the clearing. At first, he thought it was his imagination. Then he saw it, a massive, shadowy figure standing between the trees, its outline illuminated by the faint moonlight.
It was enormous, at least 8 feet tall, with broad shoulders and a cone-shaped head. I couldn't make out its face, but I could feel its eyes on me.
David's breath caught in his throat as a second figure emerged from the darkness. This one was slightly smaller, perhaps 7 feet tall, but no less intimidating. The two figures stood motionless, watching the campsite. Panicking, David stoked the fire to make it brighter, hoping the flames would scare them off. Instead, the figures retreated silently into the woods, leaving only the oppressive silence behind. Terror in the night. David didn't sleep that night. As the hours dragged on, he heard more wood knocks and occasional howls, each one closer than the last. Around 3 a.m., the family was jolted awake by a loud crash near their tents. Something, or someone, had thrown a large log into the campsite. The family huddled together, terrified, as the crashing sounds continued, followed by guttural grunts and heavy footsteps circling their camp. At one point, they heard a low, rumbling growl that sent shivers down their spines.
It felt like they were toying with us, like they wanted us to know they were there.
The morning after. As dawn broke, the noises ceased, and the forest returned to an eerie stillness. Exhausted and shaken, the family decided to pack up and leave immediately. While breaking down their tents, they discovered large, human-like footprints around the campsite, some as close as 10 feet from their tents. Before leaving, David snapped several photographs of the footprints and the surrounding area. However, when he later developed the film, the images were blurry and inconclusive, adding to the mystery. Aftermath. The Reynolds family reported their encounter to local park rangers who listened politely but remained skeptical. However, the rangers did admit that other campers had occasionally reported strange sounds and sightings in the area. News of the Reynolds story quickly spread, attracting the attention of cryptozoologists and Bigfoot enthusiasts. Some dismissed the account as a fabrication, while others believed it was a genuine encounter with the elusive creature.
I don't know what we saw out there, but I know it wasn't a bear and it wasn't human. Whatever it was, it wanted us to know it was there.
Lingering questions. To this day, the Reynolds family's encounter remains one of the most compelling and terrifying Bigfoot stories to emerge from the Sierra Nevada region. While skeptics continue to debate the existence of Bigfoot, the Reynolds family is convinced that something unexplained lurks in the wilderness.
People can believe what they want, but I know what we experienced that night, and I'll never forget it.
Bigfoot Encounter 2, The Villages, Florida, December 28, 2007. Man recounts his meeting with Bigfoot by Gary Corsair, Daily Sun. Dan Jackson, a venomous snake expert from Lithia, Florida, recounts a chilling encounter with a creature he spent 20 years searching for. The event unfolded in the early morning hours near a bayhead of sawgrass and cypress bog in Collier County. The sighting. In November 1983, while tracking hogs during a hunting trip near Naples, Jackson spotted what he initially thought was a bear. As he drew closer, the figure straightened and walked upright into the dense swamp. It had a black face, gleaming eyes, and stood approximately 6.5 to 7 feet tall. The experience left Jackson frozen with fear.
It wasn't a bear or any primate I'd seen. My mind just short-circuited, he said.
After regaining his composure, he found matted grass and a stench he likened to someone who's been sleeping in a goat pen. The search begins. Haunted by the encounter, Jackson began a 20-year quest to find the creature he calls the Florida skunk ape. He used night vision goggles, baited traps, and even DNA tactics like mirrors smeared with saliva. His persistence led him to believe the creature was highly intelligent, with heightened senses of hearing, sight, and smell.
I've spent years in the wild and can tell when something's watching me. You just know, Jackson explained.
"18 years into his search, Jackson discovered a 19.5-inch footprint in the middle of the Everglades, miles from the nearest road. A professor estimated the creature's weight at over 500 pounds, based on the depth of the print. This discovery renewed Jackson's resolve.
Eventually, using thermal imaging, I identified a game trail leading to a strip mall. I set up a stakeout near a row of dumpsters. On the third night, I saw the skunk ape approach. Its eyes radiated rage as it glared at me from just 10 feet away.
The encounter turned dangerous when the creature leaped toward Jackson. He fired his gun, but the skunk ape disappeared into the darkness.
It was tremendously fast, 1, 2, 3, and it was gone.
The close call marked the end of Jackson's search.
I always thought they were peaceful, but that night, I saw rage. I outsmarted him, and he didn't like it.
Jackson remains adamant about not revealing the location of his sighting, protecting it from ill-prepared seekers. Now, He's content to leave the skunk ape alone, satisfied with the proof he gathered during his years of effort. Bigfoot Encounter 3 Daily Sun, The Villages, Florida, December 31, 2007. These people have no doubt they saw Bigfoot. By Gary Corsair, Daily Sun. Despite skepticism, some eyewitnesses maintain they've encountered Bigfoot. While many reports are hoaxes or cases of mistaken identity, a few come from credible sources. Here are 2 accounts. In July 1977, Martha Calloway was driving home in South Carolina when she saw a creature crouched by the roadside. Its reddish-brown hair, long arms, and large frame left her speechless.
As our car got closer, its eyes seemed to meet mine.
She estimates the creature was about 7 feet tall when standing. 30 years later, the memory remains vivid. Calloway later shared her story on a website, hoping someone else might have seen the creature that summer.
It's one of those mysteries like the Loch Ness Monster. I have no explanation, but I know what I saw.
In April 2006, Pat Rainey, a Bigfoot researcher, encountered the creature in Florida's Green Swamp. Ronnie and his team found numerous footprints, some spaced as though the creature had leaped across ditches. Ronnie staked out the area and left food as bait. On the 3rd night, he saw the creature watching him from 30 feet away. Its shoulders were incredibly broad, and it was upright. "I know what I saw, and there's no doubt in my mind," Ronnie said. In January 1974, motorists in Florida reported seeing a large, hairy figure after one driver struck it with his car. Police responding to the scene reportedly saw a 7-foot-tall creature before it fled. Though lack of corroboration casts doubt on many sightings, these witnesses remain steadfast. For them, Bigfoot is no myth. Bigfoot. Encounter 4 Tribune, Minneapolis, Minnesota, November 4, 1976. The world may scoff, but Adena boys respect Bigfoot. By Turn Suriasia, staff writer. Dave Warner and Ted Steiner spend most of their spare time in a closet-sized room in Adena, Minnesota, pursuing an idea. Their room is located in Warner's parents' house, and their idea is simple. "We believe there is a Bigfoot," said Ted, 15. "That's all there is to it." Warner and Steiner are the founders, proprietors, and staff of the 1-year-old Minnesota Bigfoot Center. The center is dedicated to the belief that Bigfoot exists, and that understanding more about the creature is essential. Believers in the minority. Public opinion doesn't favor them. A Gallup poll last summer revealed that only 13% of people believe Bigfoot exists, compared to 38% who believe in devils. "They don't understand," said Dave, 12. "They don't know anything about it. But I guess when we started, we were the same way." The boys' interest was sparked by a book Dave borrowed from his 23-year-old sister, Betsy. The book, The Search for Bigfoot, quickly became the center's Bible, filled with information about the elusive creature. Walls in their room are adorned with maps of desolate West Coast areas where Bigfoot has reportedly been seen. Pens and paper sit ready for breaking rumors, while paperback books and manila envelopes crammed with Bigfoot sightings fill the shelves. Bigfoot in Minnesota? The boys' research indicates that while most sightings occur in Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Northern California, there are occasional reports closer to home. For instance, a hunter claimed to have seen a 4-foot version of Bigfoot jump out of a tree near Shaw, Minnesota, about 30 miles north of Duluth. The creature reportedly scampered into the woods of the Cloquet Valley State Forest. However, local authorities, including the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department, had no record of the incident. Another alleged encounter occurred years earlier when a woman claimed a Bigfoot attacked her in thick woods near Bemidji, Minnesota. She fainted and awoke to find the creature gone, but the Beltrami County Sheriff's Office couldn't corroborate the story. The center's mission. Despite the skepticism surrounding Bigfoot, Dave and Ted are eager to share their findings, though few seem interested. An article in the Adena Sun publicized their center in early October, but they've received only 4 phone calls, 2 of which were pranks. Friends and classmates at Adena East Lower Division Junior High view their passion as a joke. The boys' fascination with Bigfoot stems from its mysterious nature. Believed to be 8 feet tall, weigh around 700 pounds, and covered in hair, Bigfoot is thought to possess feet measuring 14 to 17 inches long. It's reportedly intelligent, rarely seen, and never captured. Dave estimates there are only 200 or 300 Bigfoot in existence, spending summers in Canada and winters in the thick brush of the upper Midwest. Protecting the mystery. The boys are adamant that they don't want Bigfoot harmed. They hope the creature can be studied from a distance to protect its habitat from human encroachment.
If a Bigfoot is ever caught, the Minnesota Bigfoot Center will go kaput.
It wouldn't be a mystery anymore. I mean, you don't see centers keeping track of bears and ducks.
The boys worry that continued urban expansion could eliminate the creature's hiding places. For now, their center remains a testament to curiosity and a belief in the unknown. Terrorized by Bigfoot, say 3 Racine Youths by John Yanni.
When the story comes out, everyone in Racine is going to think we're crazy.
Patty, 19, her sister Kim, 15, and their cousin Dave, 15, claim they encountered a creature, tall, white, and hairy, that resembled the legendary Bigfoot. The terrifying experience took place at a cabin near Stevens Point and lasted for 2 days. The 3 arrived at the A-frame cabin owned by Dave's mother on August 6th for what was supposed to be a relaxing weekend. The nightmare began that evening when they heard deep growls in the woods near a pond.
It yelled about 10 times in a row,
Dave recalled. They dismissed the noise as an animal and returned to the cabin for the night. The next morning, Kim went outside and thought she saw something watching her from the woods. At first, she believed it was her imagination.
Then I thought it might be an Indian because it stood so still.
But when the figure started moving toward her, she ran inside crying. Later that morning, Kim saw the creature again, this time near the car, only 20 to 30 feet away. She described it as at least 7 feet tall, with huge shoulders and covered in slick white hair.
The eyes were like deep black hollows in its head. You couldn't see any nose or mouth.
At first, Patty and Dave doubted Kim's story, but Patty soon saw the creature herself from the deck. She described it as standing next to the car, looking up at her. When Dave went to investigate, the creature was gone. The trio called the police, but the responding officer found no evidence of the creature. That night, the situation escalated.
I saw it at the edge of the woods. Then it ducked down and shot out toward the house. I went in and locked the door.
Throughout the night, they heard crashes, doors slamming, and other noises outside. They stayed awake in fear, convincing themselves they weren't crazy. The next day, Kim saw the creature again while outside putting on makeup. Later, the girls heard pounding and clawing at the cabin while Dave was out for a walk. They ran to the car, picked him up, and returned to find the cabin quiet. As darkness fell, the 3 locked themselves inside.
As soon as it turned dusk, we were locked in until Monday morning. It just terrorized us.
Dave claimed he saw a second creature approach the cabin and break a garage window.
It could have gotten in. There was nothing stopping it.
The creature, or creatures, continued to stalk the cabin, pacing outside and looking through the windows. The youths armed themselves with axes. They armed themselves with hatchets. And they armed themselves with kitchen utensils and a gun prepared to defend themselves. A night of fear.
It was patrolling us. It got very bold. Sunday night was the worst.
At one point, the creature walked onto the deck, just outside the sliding glass doors.
We sat there on the couch, too scared to move.
By Monday morning, the creatures were gone. Skepticism and evidence. When the youths returned home and told their story, their family was initially skeptical. I questioned them over and over, but their story stayed the same, said their father, Raleigh Brem. I saw fear in their eyes. Kim had to sleep with her mom that night, and Dave has been having nightmares. Raleigh, recently recovered from a heart attack, visited the cabin the following weekend with a friend, Gordy Laren. Though they saw no creatures, they discovered 2 sets of human-like tracks in the mud near the pond. They made a plaster cast of one print, which measured 11 inches long with 6 toes. The front of the foot dug in deeply, suggesting the animal walks with its weight forward, Laren said. He estimated it weighed about 165 pounds. The men also found 2 hairs they believe belonged to the creature and planned to have them analyzed. A warning. If people find out where it is, you'll have guys from Milwaukee, Madison, and Racine up there with guns and six-packs, shooting at anything that turns white, Laren said. The mystery remains unresolved, but the plaster cast and the youth's terrorized accounts lend credibility to their incredible story. Why do people believe? Bigfoot encounters evoke a range of emotions, from awe to fear, challenging conventional beliefs, and sparking profound personal reflection. Witnesses often describe feeling an overwhelming sense of being watched or encountering something extraordinary that defies rational explanation. Bigfoot stories, whether personal experiences or cultural narratives, continue to captivate the public. These accounts highlight humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown and our relationship with the wilderness. If you'd like further details or additional specific encounters, let me know.